Asyle, the Engineer's Island. Week 53, Day 1. New Year's Eve. The weather has cleared, though not quite enough to run the solar kiln. A respite from the oppressive sun, at least. I made up my mind, though, that today was going to be a day to rest and reflect. Even my machinery I turned off when I got up in the morning before getting breakfast. I decided after that to take a short walk on the beach, back to where it all began. The life raft hanging limply in the beach hut, all but forgotten next to my fishing equipment and kayak, the things I made with my own hands. I followed the life-giving stream of fresh water up the path, drinking in the pain and fear soaked into the gate when I made it. I followed the water past the workshop, where I built so many wonders, where the water has been left to simply dribble out of the cistern in the back. Past the bathhouse come dining room, the empty chairs reminding me that I have no one to share my table with. Past the kitchen, still cool and inviting with the smell of vanilla grass. Past the orchard, growing in slowly, and the gate to the chicken houses, which I almost certainly need to repair. They have been faithful renters after all. Up to the garden, still verdant with taro leaves, like the heads of a patient audience, sitting in front of an empty amphitheater, with the arbor sitting like a VIP box in the center of it all. Empty. Not even enough people to fill its 2 lonely chairs. Back down past the lab, where I harnessed the wind to make my own lightning, and thunder to blast holes in the earth. And drive away my enemies, bottling the power of a storm like a wizard, like a god. No doubt the ancients who preceded me here would have thought me one, and yet I would have nothing were it not for their sacrifice. That lab, and everything I've built here, ought to be dedicated just as much to them as to me, and to the God who made those things for all of us to use, leading me back to the chapel, a place to remember, a place to be grateful and make music, not just a crossroad or obstacle on the path to the wealth and power buried deep in the earth, as the medieval Catholic Church seemed to treat it, and as many modern churches still do. All good things he made, and made to be shared, not hoarded. So then, what of this island? And what of me? My office. My refuge. My home. I looked up at the false chimney, and it reminded me of those who don't believe the same. Don't play by the same rules. And that it's not right for me to demand that they do. But what about me? I spent so much of my life giving. My strength, my voice, my time, myself, until I had nothing left to give. Only hate and fear. Resentment. I did not like the person I was becoming. As noble as it seems on the surface, I'm reminded of what I learned in the fire department. You can't rescue anyone if you need to be rescued yourself. If I let the world keep taking from me, I'll have nothing to give. This place, this island, has been a place for me to catch my breath. A refuge just as much as a prison, where I have the time, space, materials, and even energy to recover, and not just recover, I'm stronger and healthier now than I've ever been my entire life, and better equipped to build whatever I need. Better even than when I had all the riches of Amazon.com to choose from, because I had no riches myself, and, ironically, those mass-produced widgets constrained me and my projects by their shapes, by their intent for other functions, slowing me down, wearing down my enthusiasm and self-confidence. Here, hundreds of dollars worth of energy and materials bubble up from the ground for me, rain from the sky for me, grow from the trees for me like the Garden of Eden, in return for the small, upfront investment of my time, my brains, and my hands, giving them tender, ongoing care. I climbed into the solar tower and hoisted my way to the top, looking out over the horizon and letting the sea breeze blow in my face. Even with the clouds overhead, I could still feel the warmth radiating off of the solar array onto my back. For all of its hardships and challenges, I've decided to stay. I think I can ultimately do more good for the world here, in time, without their help, without them getting in my way. Fewer cooks in the kitchen, as it were. I should have everything I need now to resume my research. Though it's been a long road getting back to the starting line, I think I'm in a better position now to race, now that I'm the only one I need to compete with. If you can outrun yourself, you'll approach the speed of light eventually. That's always kind of been my way. I don't need the pressure or complication of other people running with or against me. Maybe I just needed the chance, the right conditions, to do things differently. To do things my way, which is differently. As I lowered myself back to Earth, though, I found I still needed to face the fact that it wasn't going to be enough after all. I walked back to my office and sat down, running my fingers along the spines of the books I've written. As much fun as making these things has been, and as good a distraction as it's been, I can only distract myself for so long, and eventually I'll run out of ideas for things to do here, no matter how deeply I retreat into my imagination. This is not just a limitation of my mind, but a constraint of my body. I can't live alone forever, because the loneliness is eventually going to kill me, literally. The stress it causes on the body accelerates heart disease, cancer, and aging, and weakens my immune system. Maybe that's one reason my hair has started graying early. But I'm confronted again with the internal argument that going back to the mainland won't change that. I'm as alone here as I was there. The only thing that's changed is what reminds me of it. Of course, I've always had a solution for that, and while the solution hasn't really changed, I'd pretty much given up on it. Put it out of my mind until now because I just assumed it was impossible with the tools and materials I had on hand. Now I'm not so sure. I picked up my game scroll and looked at the little sprite fondly. It wasn't until I started thinking about A Hat in Time again that I started to remember what I missed. I want a family. I want one so badly it feels like there's a black hole in my chest. A crushing, suffocating pain. But as much as I want to engineer a solution to everything, I can't make someone choose me. That's what makes love so valuable. So I don't try, and I never assumed anyone really wanted me. I'm just too weird, or too much of a specific kind of weird, and there probably isn't anyone else like me on Earth. Even if there is, it would have been like looking for a needle in a hayfield to find them even before I came to this island. Now, there's virtually no chance at all, so I won't bother trying to engineer for it. Still, if I could have just one kid, one child of my own to nurture, I think that would be enough for me. And since I engineer solutions to all my problems, I'd always planned to engineer a solution to this one. Since I could never make friends, I decided to make friends. I'm going to build an android child. When I first got here, this would have been completely absurd, but now I think I can do it. It won't be as sophisticated as my original designs, but it may not need to be, and just because most of the materials I have to work with here will be all natural, doesn't make them any weaker, mechanically, than those made in a factory or lab. There's nothing they can make on the mainland that I can't make here anyway, given enough time to experiment. The only hard part to make will be the brain, and some of the more complicated sensors, but that's what my research was always for anyway. And before I came here, I'd already nailed down most of the basic elements for the first prototype. It's time now to make the real thing. And again, there's nothing my prototypes on the mainland were made from that I don't have here, or that can't be a functional substitute. It'll still take some experimentation, though, especially with the electrolytic capacitors, to learn how to program them, but it looks like I've got nothing but time anyway. It won't solve the free will problem. In many ways, it'll just make that more complicated, but it was never supposed to. No person, child or adult, human or not, ever could. You can't make someone love you. There's no love without choice, and I'm not going to try. I'm just going to love them, and that's my choice. With a destination in mind, I spent the rest of the day plotting my course. It'll be hard, and there's still a lot of things here that need maintenance and upgrades before I can even get started. But it's what I want. As I watched the sunset, I savored the clarity more than usual. I know what I need to do. I know how to get there, and this time there's nothing in the way except me and nature. I'm not finished, not by a long shot. Tomorrow, I'll wake up to a new year, and my real work on this island will finally begin.